Hey everybody, welcome back to our channel. This one's going to make your blood boil, but we're going to dive into some of the pros and cons of homeowners associations. Believe it or not, in the 1970s, there were only around 10,000 community associations across the United States. By the end of 2022, that number increased to 363,000. Nearly 2.3 million Arizonans live in what makes up 9,900 homeowners associations in our state. More than half of HOA members, 57%, report that they're happy with their membership and it makes their lives easier and more convenient. However, 23% of homeowners say their lives have been more complicated as a result of their HOA membership. For our team personally, more often than not, our first discussion with a potential client starts out with, I'm looking for 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a 1/4 acre lot, and I don't want to be in a homeowners association. But is it a reality to really rule that out in the Prescott area? Stick around.
So we're in one of the area's newest planned communities, and we're taking a walk down one of their walking paths or trails. It's a brisk winter day, but the benefit of some of these HOAs, love them or hate them, is you get to do things like this and you don't have to maintain any of this landscape.
You don't have to pay to landscape it?
No, not at all. So there are many pros and cons, and we're going to kind of go into some of those pros and cons right now.
Oh, when all these leaves fall off this maple tree, you're not cleaning them up. Your HOA is.
So that pro can also be a con, because as you'll see, all this landscaping, somebody has to maintain that, and that's the HOA. But that's going to cost you money every month.
All right, so there is a plus with being in an HOA, and oftentimes it can actually improve your property values because it maintains a certain level of upkeep for the property and care for the property that you may or may not see in a non-HOA community. So I think there's a little bit of an argument to be made that it can increase or improve or maintain property values. Wouldn't you say, Shawn?
Yeah, I would say that the homeowners association sets somewhat of a standard, and everyone kind of meets that standard or abides by that standard. But we should probably talk about those other 3 letters, CC and Rs, which are covenants, conditions, and restrictions. So within homeowners associations, you also are going to have CC and Rs, which they'll go into more specifics about what kind of animals you can have and how many you can have, and if it's a dog, what type of breeds, and
if you can park your car on the street at night, if your trash cans need to be in by a certain time, if you're allowed to rent your property, certain things like that. Then that takes...
What color your house needs to be painted when you go to repaint.
We've seen some as strict as what type of landscaping you can put in, so that's something to keep in mind. That takes us to another con, though. And again, I don't like pencil pushers with clipboards. And so sometimes they'll show up at your door or they'll send you a violation letter. And HOAs can actually fine you monetary amounts. So keep that in mind.
Well, and one other con, a lot of people don't know about this, but let's say you're like Tiffany here, my wife, and don't like authority. And you just take those letters from the HOA and toss them in the garbage, and those letters accumulate for years and years and years and years. HOAs have the ability to file a foreclosure on your property. So we have seen this in our lengthy career before, and HOAs absolutely do have the authority. Now,
don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. Because an HOA does have the ability, if you don't pay your dues for 1, 2, 5, or 10 years worth of dues, they can file foreclosure proceedings against you, and certainly...
And they can collect interest.
They can, and penalize you for attorney fees and everything else. So Not that you would want to go down that road,
No.
but it has happened, and we have seen HOAs take properties in foreclosure. So keep that in mind.
All right, so those lovely CC&Rs, covenants, conditions, and restrictions. Keep in mind, once they are recorded and you've agreed to them via signature and recordation against your property, they cannot be changed. So if your homeowners association says that you can't build a casita and you want to build a casita, you can't go to the board and say, can we please add this because this would be beneficial for all the property owners. It's a state law in Arizona. So unfortunately, once it's recorded and agreed upon, no changing it.
So if you live in an HOA, you're going to have to pay dues. Those could be monthly, they could be quarterly, semi-annually, or annually. But at some point, someone's going to collect dues from you to go towards maintaining the community that you live in. So that could go towards, pool maintenance or replacing patio furniture at a clubhouse and your landscaping, or if you're on a golf course and they do overseeding, that those HOA dues could go towards that. I mean, so many different things. So you're getting your money's worth, but only if you're actually using those amenities. So if you're not someone that enjoys playing pickleball at the clubhouse and golfing 3, 4, 5 days a week, maybe the HOAs aren't for you.
And keep in mind, the amount that you're paying every year is subject to change yearly. So, you might be paying $50 a month when you first move in, but in 10 years you might be paying $200. So it is subject to change.
So if you're considering a move to a community that is in an HOA, the sellers should provide to you, or the HOA, or a combination of the two, information about the HOA's financials, including statements from prior years. Maybe it's even including things such as meeting minutes over the past 12 months. In those minutes, you can find out about things of maybe there's an upcoming special assessment that the board is considering a vote on, or maybe they're considering an amendment to the bylaws. So lots of information can be discovered by looking into these HOAs during your due diligence period when you're under contract on a new home.
So there's two different types of homeowners associations, or HOAs, and there is a professional managed, which means a company has been hired on the behalf of the community to make sure that all of the dues are collected and that any of the violations or citations are handled, and just to make sure everything is on the up and up. There are some good professional management companies, and there are quite a few that are terrible. And so that's something to keep in mind. The other type of HOA is
self-managed. So that means the homeowners that actually live in the community are voted upon and elected.
Johnny Neighbor and Susie Neighbor.
Yep, right next door to you, and they could be members of the board.
They could be in the treasury position, or they could be in the president's position, or they could be in the architectural review committee position. And those are voted, and they'll have term limits typically. So, you may have somebody who's sweet as pie and is great as a homeowners association member, or you could have somebody who should run a military school. And, you just don't know until you've either voted them in or you've had them on your board. So keep that in mind.
Bonus for living in a community such as this is you're going to have access to these beautiful amenities that are private and only for the neighbors living in the community. So oftentimes they'll allow you to have guest passes to bring a guest to attend the pool or the gym on a daily basis, but it's not open to the public. So that can be a pro if you live there. Obviously, it's a con if you don't and you want to take advantage of living or using or utilizing these amenities. You won't be allowed to because they are for members only. So we thought this would be kind of fun and to take you through several communities and see if you can guess if this is an HOA or not. Here I'm noticing several different types of fencing, site-built homes, barns. What do you think? Surprisingly, this one is an HOA. Here's another Beautiful site-built home, kind of that modern farmhouse look. Looks to be on some acreage with some horse facilities. If you guessed not in an HOA, you're correct. Next up, a couple cabins in the woods. Love this A-frame. Here's a new construction cabin and an old log cabin. If you guessed not an HOA, you're right. Here's a beautiful custom home. It looks to be on some horse property with some steel pipe fencing in it. If you guessed HOA, you're right. All right, last one. Looks to be a nice custom home on maybe a 5 to 10 acre lot. They have facilities for horses here as well. What do you think? If you guessed not in an HOA, you're right. So trying to navigate this HOA madness is a lot more difficult than it looks. So before you say yes or no to living in an HOA, let's have a conversation and figure out what your goals are and determine if it's the right fit for you.
So whether you're considering an HOA or
Not.
give us a call. We'd love to help. 928-800-4707. Thanks for watching.